Hey everyone, in this episode we're talking about the holidays, Thanksgiving and Christmas. Yes, it's the time of joy and you get to spend it with your family and your friends and everybody's happy and so on and so forth. And you're newly sober. You could be walking into the firing line and you don't even know it. You have the power of choice. You can make decisions for yourself in your new sobriety. So I'm going over 5 things that I think are questions that you could ask yourself and tips that you could do or implement to stay sober during the holiday season. You got Thanksgiving, you got Christmas, and then you got New Year's. So you got a solid month and a half worth of holiday season where we know there's a lot of drugs, a lot of alcohol, and you need to be prepared for it. So that is what we're covering in this episode. Enjoy the show. Here we are, Real Recovery Talk. I am your host, Tom Conrad. In today's episode, it is just me. No Benjamin B today. He is not here because I'm here late at night. I had to get this recorded. I wanted to get this recorded, and so here I am. First things first, thank you for tuning in on the podcast app, whichever one that you choose to use. And thank you for watching on YouTube. If in fact you like what you hear and you want to reach out, you could always reach us. info@realrecoverytalk.com. Again, it's info@realrecoverytalk.com. So, in today's episode, I wanted to record again, and I do this every year, and by popular demand, 5 things or 5 ways or 5 some things that you can do to stay sober during the holidays. We all know that the holidays are here. They're upon us. It seems like Christmas just ended. And I distinctly remember taking my Christmas tree down last year, and here we are again, putting it back up, probably this weekend. But that's okay. Hey, it's the holidays. And as much as I hate putting up Christmas decorations, when I do get them up and my house is throwing up Christmas, it feels a certain sort of way. And I must say that it makes it feel more enjoyable, I suppose. But it also feels really enjoyable whenever I'm able to take them down, because then my house feels like empty and like clean and not cluttered, so on and so forth. But it can be a very stressful time of year for certain people. And it's to be understood, because a lot of times with the holidays comes spending a lot of time with your families and friends. And for some people, that could be horrible. And it's the one time a year that the families come together and spend Thanksgiving with one another. They spend Christmas with one another, New Year's perhaps. And I find it interesting that I know there's families out there that, talk smack on one another all year long. And then when Christmas comes, everybody puts a smile on their face and they ask how everybody's been and how you doing and so good to see you and so on and so forth. And then all that is over and then it's back to gossiping and talking smack. I know there's families out there that do this. And if you say, well, that's not my family, well, good for you. But I beg to differ. I'm sure this takes place in just about every family. It's just you don't know who it is that's maybe talking about you. And maybe you're talking about, Aunt Lucy. And, do you remember what Aunt Lucy did last year? Oh, can you believe that she didn't get Johnny that gift, or she got Johnny that gift? I would have never got Johnny that gift. And, could you, that meal that she brought, whatever that was that she was responsible for, gross. It happens. So let's not shy away from it. Let's not pretend like it's all joy. It's not. There's things about Christmas and Thanksgiving that are stressful. And I think that we need to draw attention to it so we can navigate it properly. And if you're new in recovery and you're new to sobriety, this is going to be very important for you to listen to, because you're going into a situation potentially that could be very dangerous for you and your recovery. A lot of people relapse this time of year. I don't know why. It's, if you're an alcoholic like I was, the holidays wasn't nothing special. The days still ended in Y. Still drank, still drugged. Wasn't anything, it was just, I guess, more I suppose I drank more and drugged more, if that was even possible. But we see a lot of people relapse this time of year. So we're going to go through these 5 things, and hopefully at the end you can have at least some sort of strategy to stay sober. Now, this can go both ways, right? So I'm talking to the addict, I'm talking to the alcoholic, but I'm simultaneously talking to people that have addicts and alcoholics in their lives. And maybe this is going to be the first holiday season where, whoever it is that's sober is going to be there, and you want to try and navigate it properly. So I'm going to walk you through that as well. So let's just get right into it. Step number 1 is to plan ahead. Make sure you have some sort of general idea of what it is that you're walking into. Most people don't just wake up on Thanksgiving morning and think, oh, I'm going to host Thanksgiving this year. No, it's generally planned out weeks in advance. And if you're new in recovery, if you're new in sobriety, and you know that you're going to Aunt Lucy's house for Thanksgiving and Uncle John's going to be there, and Uncle John, all the past Thanksgivings that you've been there, Uncle John always went out back and smoked a peace pipe and asked you to go with him. You need to recognize that. You need to understand that that's probably going to take place again this year if, in fact, Uncle John doesn't know that you're sober now. So you got to plan ahead. What are you going to do whenever that whenever that circumstance comes about? Or everybody, a lot of families, they like to do a toast and they have champagne or whatever the case is, wine or beer. Everybody wants to do a family toast, whole families together. And, you used to partake in that. What are you going to do? How are you going to navigate that? Plan ahead, anticipate the situation that you're going to be in. Now, I'm not one to advocate for non-alcoholic beverages. I'm not. I think that it's flirting with the devil, I suppose, a little bit. And I know that it works out there for some people. And if it does work for you, that's great. And if it is something that you would want to do, I suppose that's fine. I'm not going to encourage it, but if it's a matter of drinking an NA beer versus a non-alcohol or Budweiser or whatever the case, obviously go for the non-alcoholic version. But I would encourage you to just have a glass of water, a glass of orange juice, a glass of apple juice, iced tea, soda, something. See, just because everybody else is drinking around you doesn't necessarily mean that you have to look the part. If you're sober and you're in recovery, be proud about that. That's something that should be acknowledged, and you should be proud of it. You shouldn't have to, or you shouldn't want to hide behind that. And so you get a non-alcoholic beer just so you kind of look the part. Now, if you've been drinking non-alcoholic beer for some time and it works for you and that's what you want to do, go for it. But if you've been sober for a few months or whatever the case is, and you're going to Thanksgiving or Christmas and you think, oh, well, I'll just get non-alcoholic, I wouldn't do that. You're not accustomed to it. I wouldn't encourage it. I would say just drink soda, water, iced tea, juice, something. I like LaCroix. I drink LaCroix. Works for me. So that's that. If you're a family member, and if you're a loved one and you know that you're going to Thanksgiving or Christmas or whatever, and you know that somebody there is newly sober, or if it's your son or daughter or whatever the case is, don't make it a spectacle. Do not go in there and, ask Johnny, are you okay? I know that, Uncle John, he's out back. He's smoking that peace pipe again. Are you okay? Or is everything going to be okay? Don't make a big scene about it. That's probably going to be my number one piece of advice for family members and loved ones. Do not make them feel alienated because they're now sober. Chances are they feel weird in a way anyways. And if you make a spectacle of it and you all of a sudden they're like the sideshow or the main show, that's not going to help. So just don't even get involved with it. Now, if it's your son or daughter or whatever, let them know, hey, I'm here if you need anything. If you want to leave, you can leave. If you feel uncomfortable, let me know. Stuff like that. Don't make a spectacle of it. Number 2, if you're a drinker, if you're a drugger and you're new in recovery, have some sort of support system if possible. I know a lot of people that are new in sobriety and they've taken another sober person with them. They call the family or their family and say, hey, I got, a friend of mine. He doesn't really have anywhere to go. We're both, obviously newly sober. And, I'd like to invite him to Thanksgiving or her or whatever the case is. Is that something, would you be cool with that? And most families would probably be okay with that, I'm sure, unless it's a dysfunctional family that, I don't know. I would allow that. Try and have some sort of support system with you. Or if you're there or that somebody that's going to be at Thanksgiving or Christmas, that they're sober, call them up. Even if you haven't talked to him in a long time. Maybe Uncle John's sober now. Let's just assume Uncle John put down the devil's lettuce. He stopped doing the old booger sugar. And he's clean and sober now. Call Uncle John up and say, hey, Uncle John, I'm sober now too. I got 2 months. I got 3 months. You mind, spending time with me while we're there? We could be the only 2 sober dudes and, we could watch football and eat a bunch of turkey and fall asleep on the couch while everybody else is out there acting a fool. You mind doing that? We can hang with each other. There's your support system right there. Now you got a couple sober people and it's good. Find a meeting that's around there. Meetings don't stop. Just because it's Thanksgiving doesn't mean that meetings are canceled. You can go to a meeting. You can find one. If you're lucky enough to where your home group falls on Thanksgiving or Christmas Day, go to your home group. Stay connected. Just because it's the holidays doesn't mean that your program gets put on pause. So, again, and if you're a family member, this really doesn't pertain to you. My biggest point of advice for family members and loved ones is do not make it obvious. Do not make it a show. Don't make them a sideshow. Please don't do that. It's awkward. The third thing is try and maybe you can instill and create some new traditions, possibly. This could be very difficult or maybe not, depending on your family dynamic. I know people that have gone and they've started new traditions within, Thanksgiving or Christmas. Christmas, they do the white elephant or do something outside. If you're down here, I'm in Florida, so it's easy for us to do stuff outside. If you're up north, maybe go sled riding. I don't know, whatever the case is. Start some sort of tradition that potentially doesn't involve alcohol, because a lot of times holidays and stuff, alcohol is the centerpiece, but maybe you can change that. Maybe you can instill some sort of tradition that doesn't involve alcohol. You guys know I reference Mind Pump all the time, and I'm going to continue to reference Mind Pump all the time because they are really good guys and they have a lot of good information and they put it to practice within their own families. Well, Sal, who is one of the hosts of Mind Pump, he instilled a tradition within his family that they actually work out. And this is something that he started some years ago. I don't know how many, but it's now something that the whole family looks forward to every single year. he says that I have people contacting me, weeks in advance saying, hey, are we going to do the workout this year? It's a tradition that he started within his family that is completely out of the norm. And it's cool. It's fun. They enjoy it. They're outside and it's nothing crazy. It's not like you're out there going crazy with the weights and stuff like that. Although you could, if you wanted to, if you got a couple of guys in there, all of a sudden want to have a benching competition, sure, go for it. Just set some sort of new tradition. Figure out what that is or what that could be for you and bring it up. And hey, maybe your family totally smashes it and they say, no way, we're not going to do that. Well, I'm sure there's one or two people that would take you up on that, whatever it is that you decide to do. And if nobody buys into it, well, then screw them. Maybe you just don't go. I don't know. The fourth one is set expectations, not only for yourself, but also set expectations with your loved ones. If you have a relationship with them that's strong enough to where you can call them up and say, hey, listen, I'm sober now. I am coming. I just want to let you know that I'm now sober. So, when it comes time for the toast and everything else, just know that I'm not going to partake in that, or I'll partake in it, but with a glass of water or whatever the case is. And also set expectations with yourself. Don't feel like you have to be somebody that you no longer are. Be comfortable in your sobriety. Be comfortable in your recovery. Do not make this more stressful than it needs to be. If you only want to go there for an hour and you want to go there and you want to eat and you want to get out of there before it really starts to get crazy, do that. Do not force yourself to do something that's going to compromise your sobriety or even potentially compromise your sobriety because it's not worth it. Set the expectations for yourself and also let your family know, hey, I'm sober and I'm coming. Just want to let you know, though. Just throwing it out there. I'm sober. But don't make me a sideshow. I'm just telling you because you're hosting. I just want you to know, you don't have to go and tell all the aunts and the uncles and yada, yada. I can navigate that. I'm an adult. I can have those conversations if need be, so on and so forth. And the last one, this one is very, very, very important. And I cannot stress this enough, that if you are in a position to where you feel like this is not a good idea for you to do or go to, do not go. You're an adult. You can make decisions for yourself. If you don't want to go to Thanksgiving dinner because history has proven that it is an absolute disaster outside of the 45 minutes that people are eating, and the only reason that it's not a disaster then is because everybody's mouths are full with food, don't go. If it's stressful, if people are rowdy and it's a lot of alcohol, a lot of drugs, whatever the case is, don't go. Who cares what people say? Who cares if people talk about why you didn't go? Who cares about their feelings? It doesn't matter. It should not have any sort of bearing on your decision as to whether or not you're going to be there. I can't stress that enough. I know plenty of people that have forced themselves into situations during the holidays that they didn't want to be in for the sake of the family because they wanted the family to be there for the family. They felt obligated to go. You're not obligated to do anything. So remember that. You don't have to go. That's it. That's it. Those are the 5 things that I would suggest this year that you think about. It's coming up real soon. So it's something to ponder on. Maybe you have a couple phone calls that you need to make. Maybe you have a couple people you have to talk to. Be prepared. Know what you're walking into, and remember that your sobriety comes first. Every decision that you make around the holidays needs to revolve around if it is conducive for your sobriety. And if it's not, then you don't go or whatever. Okay. That was simple enough. Thank you for tuning in. In the end, if you have any comments, questions, or concerns, you could always reach us. info@realrecoverytalk.com. Again, it's info@realrecoverytalk.com. That is it. We will see y'all later.